Right now, the kind of character I want to play most is someone inherently and irredeemably evil.
That's what Shuu Kai said in his interview on Arena Plus 2024. But in 800, he didn't just find a darker character. He found one that may redefine the kind of actor he wants to become. A mature, complex character, who goes astray. Torn between inner conflict and emotional struggle. A character who keeps resisting fate, even when he knows it's already been decided.
小辉，
You've grown up to become someone I hardly recognize anymore.
So what makes Chen Hui different? And why might this role redefine Shuu Kai's career at this stage? 800 is a 20-episode suspense drama from Tencent's X Theater, a label known for grounded, high-quality crime storytelling. Set in a small town in the 1990s, the story unfolds in a world that feels quiet, contained, almost ordinary. But within that small space, something begins to shift.
Within a confined space, boundaries are drawn. Good and evil can change in a single thought.
At its core, this is not just a story about crime. It's a story about fracture between a father and his son. At the center of the story is Chen Hui, a young man from a small town. Someone who once had a warm and complete life. A family. A sense of belonging. What drew Shuu Kai to this role was not the crime, but the tragedy of Chen Hui's life. Because Chen Hui is not someone without ability. He is intelligent. In many ways, ahead of his time. Even in the 1990s, he could imagine building internet cafes, or large roller skating rinks. A person with ideas. With potential. And yet, what led to his downfall? Was it the era he lived in, or something else? Between who he could have been, and who he becomes, something is missing.
小辉，你小时候，我总爱问你，
When you grow
长
up,
大以后
what do you
要干
want
什
to
么
do?
It's a question every parent asks. But what follows is more revealing.
爸爸一直不知道，长大了
I never really
你会
understood
做什么。
what you would become.
It sounds simple. But it carries a quiet weight. Not just distance, but a lack of being seen. And when that understanding is missing, people begin to look for it somewhere else. And for Chen Hui, that somewhere else might be her. If only we could go back to childhood. The line suggests something simple. That they've known each other for a long time. A shared past. A familiar presence. An emotional entanglement. In a life where something feels missing, that kind of connection can mean everything.
A single case ties two people together. In the face of tangled emotions, will they fall deeper into entanglement or find a glimpse of redemption?
Whatever this relationship is, it doesn't just exist alongside Chen Hui's story. It becomes part of what shapes it. And as everything begins to shift, that connection may pull him in ways he can no longer control. The fall of Chen Hui is not a single moment. It's a process shaped by everything around him. Family, ambition, pressure. The time he lives in. And the relationships he holds on to. His life unfolds in a small town that appears quiet and peaceful. But beneath the surface, something else is already in motion.
How did contraband from overseas end up in a place this small?
This is not an innocent world. And then comes the pressure.
You keep pushing me, again and again.
That pressure builds. Quietly. relentlessly, until it reaches a breaking point. And in that moment, a mistake is made. Xu Kai described this journey as something deeply internal. A mental breakdown during the act of wrongdoing, followed by a confused return to clarity. From that moment on, everything begins to change. Insomnia, nightmares, panic. Avoiding eye contact. Withdrawing from the people closest to him. And eventually, a kind of clarity. Not the clarity of innocence, but the clarity of someone who has already crossed the line. At the heart of all this is the conflict between father and son. A father who once asked, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And later, as a policeman, demands an answer from that same son.
How did they die?
The question changes. And so do their roles. From hope to interrogation. From father and son to policeman and suspect.
The tension between father and son sharpens. Amid the entanglement of light and darkness, are there still truths left unspoken?
And somewhere between those two moments, something breaks.
You've grown up
一长大，
to become someone who I
我都
hardly
不认识你。
recognize anymore.
Or maybe, he was never truly understood to begin with.
The human heart is unfathomable. Once it strays, there is no easy return.
This is not just a story about crime. It's about something far more unsettling.
A single coin, which side is right, which side is wrong? Across different lives, who gets to define good and evil? And who truly belongs to either side?
The line between them is never as clear as it seems. And sometimes, it only takes a single moment for that line to disappear. For ordinary people to become something they never thought they would be. And once that line is crossed, whether they can ever find their way back. In recent years, Xu Kai has made something clear. He's no longer drawn to characters that are simply likable. I've started actively seeking out more realist-themed dramas, or roles with more complex personalities. At this stage of his career, it's a deliberate shift toward characters that are more mature, more layered, and more difficult to define. Characters that don't ask the audience to love them, but to question them. Because in his view, justice and evil don't stand apart. They overlap, like two negatives forming the same image. And Chen Hui may be where that exploration truly begins. A character shaped by conflict, by contradiction, by choices that are never entirely right or wrong. Not a hero, not a clear villain, but something far more complex. The kind of character that marks a turning point for an actor.